Hello everyone and welcome back to the sideboard for the Los Angeles Legacy Open. We're about to get the top 8 started. I'm going to throw it to Patrick and Cedric in the booth real soon, but first we're going to run down what matchups you're going to see in the top 8, what kind of decks are stacked, where their matchups are lying in favor or not favor, and generally just talk a little bit about the Magic that's about to be played. We're going to start with Michael Hetrick and Eric Brown. Michael Hetrick got paired down in the last round of the Swiss after expecting to be able to draw in. He won, making it into the top 8, and that also afforded him the luxury of the play in every matchup that he faces in the top 8. He's the first seed. He's paired against the 8th seed, Eric Brown, on Goblins. Michael Hetrick, as we saw earlier, is playing a Blue-White Miracles deck splashing red. That gives him access to stuff like Pyroblast, which is handy in the mirror. In general, though, he's not really running as much anti-aggro hate as someone else in the top 8, Joe Lissette, who's also on Blue-White Miracles. So it's going to be a tougher matchup for him. Ports and Wastelands become a little bit stronger when you're facing down a 3-color deck, as you're losing some of Blue-White Miracles' ability to play on just basics or dodge the various land hate and mana hate that a Goblins deck can access. However, he does have Moat in the sideboard along with Enlightened Tutor, and it's unclear how the Goblins player will necessarily sideboard. It's possible Thorn of Amethyst could come in and wreck his plans. Maybe not. Generally, I think Goblins is a little bit ahead against these decks just because of its ability to disrupt what's going on and having a more consistent game plan, but Hetrick's certainly proven himself able to win the match, so I think it's a close match, and I wouldn't really call that one either way. The next match, that one I'm a little more comfortable with. Patrick Sullivan's playing Burn, his own special style of Burn, and it's particularly well suited to Ross Merriam's Maverick deck. Ross is playing a relatively traditional list. He's played Maverick a lot, but he's not running a lot of sideboard cards that are applicable in the Burn matchup, whereas Patrick's deck is only getting better post-board when he gets to bring in stuff like Searing Blaze. Grim Lavamancer ×4 in the main deck makes his deck really hostile for a lot of Maverick's early starts, and Maverick is already not a deck that's that difficult to race. As aggressive decks go, it's a pretty slow beater compared to something like Rug. It doesn't have Nimble Mongooses, it doesn't generate a giant fatty very early, Night takes some time to get going. You can very easily race it by just playing a Lightning Bolt or 2 per turn. The only real giant problem card is going to be Umezawa's Jitte. Thalia to a lesser extent, but Jitte going active is real close to game over a lot of the time, so Patrick's going to have to play around that. His sideboarded Searing Blazes, I imagine, will be perfectly good at doing so. Jason Abong and Ricky Cummings, that's an undefeated Rug Delver player facing off against a Merfolk player. I hate to call it for Jason, but I think his undefeated run might be at an end. Merfolk is a notoriously tough matchup for Rug. He doesn't even have a lot of blasts in the sideboard, which are one of the ways you can turn it around. He's not running the Grim Lavamancers that Travis Gibson employed at SCGDC, really. He's just playing a mostly stock list that's built for stuff like Miracles in the Mirror. Not well positioned to handle Merfolk, especially once Kira Great Glass Spinner enters from the sideboard. I think Ricky's got a pretty advantageous matchup. Jason might be able to turn it around, but I'm going to call that one in favor of Merfolk. And last but not least, Benjamin Brauseki, I'm pretty sure that's how he told me his name is supposed to be pronounced. He's also playing Rug Delver, and he's playing against Joe Lissette, who's on Blue-White Miracles, as I already mentioned. Joe has already won a Legacy Open with Blue-White Miracles, demonstrating a pretty high level of competency with the archetype in and of itself. And his build is specifically quite well positioned against Rug Delver, I think. He has a main deck Moat, very tough card, if he can resolve it. He has all of the Terminuses in his main deck, all 4. That's a great way to handle Nimble Mongoose and any other threat that might be alongside a Nimble Mongoose. And he has Baneslayer Angels in his sideboard. Baneslayer Angels! That's a spell. Tarmogoyf, all right, he's a reasonable creature, but Baneslayer Angel, there's nothing reasonable about a Baneslayer Angel in the red zone. So I think Joe's list is a little better built to handle Rug Delver than many Miracles lists we've seen, and he's already proven himself more than capable of winning a tournament of this level. So I think we've got a favorable matchup for Joe Lissette in the quarterfinals, and we might see him going for another trophy. I'm going to go ahead and throw it to Patrick and Cedric in the booth. I believe they're going to bring you Patrick Sullivan against Ross Merriam, Burn versus Maverick, and we'll get to see how my predictions bear fruit.